So Mark Antoine and I were just kind of talking about concepts, and I thought we had a good example. So Ben was reading Enigma of Reason and continuing our
He
discussion about,
reading about, I think,
yeah, maybe, yeah.
synopsis.
So he quotes, "What reason does, rather, is help us justify our beliefs and actions to others, blah, blah, blah." Um, and he is in effect saying, he uses this long example to say, he's using the castaway as an example where a person reasoned by themselves.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah, although what's funny about that example is that he had Wilson, um, which wasn't a person, but it's showing that he's modeling another brain. So
Yeah,
he's using community. He's his brain is making decisions better because he has a community to bounce it off of, even if it is a fake one.
yep.
Anyways, but
Uh, yeah, and the point he makes later is sometimes people come up with ideas by themselves. It happens, but most ideas come in conversations, I find, or even imagined conversations, like internal, as you said.
yeah,
You
but
go,
just
go.
I think a better way to phrase this, which no one ever says this way, is the definition of the word reason that we're using here is,
Yes,
or reason evolved to we think the reason
the,
facilities we have today evolved through this passage, but we're not saying that's the only way we use it today.
the book actually, and that's why I'm, okay, synopsis. The book goes into a lot of trouble to uh, distinguish many definitions of reason
Okay.
before they focus on one. They say that's what we're calling reason, and yes, there's this other definitions, but we're using this one, and here's why we're using this one, yada yada. They really go into the nitty-gritty of what the hell is reason in the first place. So what reason does, yes, it's according to us, it is in the paratext. You would have that.
Yeah. And it's just like this statement does not directly contradict what he's calling reason.
No,
And we're not saying that when we say reason is a community thing, we're saying the definition of reason that we're using developed through community and is more effective in community. We're not saying that you can't do it on your own, but it's substantially more effective in community. It's
the,
just we're
the
not arguing.
I'd even argue reason cannot exist individually, but that's a bit more of a tall argument. It's obviously anathema for somebody who comes from an individualistic perspective.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess that's true. I guess also when I kind of think about that debate, it's kind of like that the results of that claim and the accuracy of it doesn't really affect our work or how we work together. So
no,
it's kind of like arguing, it's semantics the wrong word. I would normally say arguing semantics, but we're literally not arguing the semantics, but we're nitpicking on something that is not necessary.
yeah, and I don't think we should nitpick too much on Bin's argument in his absence. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
But
true. Yeah.
but it's a good example of, here we have two definitions of reason, uh, and there's a real argument about, are they the same thing? Are they distinct? Does one of them not exist? I argue that individual reason, though it does happen, cannot exist alone without social reason. I'm actually making that claim. And that individual reason is the quote unquote least interesting case, which is an even stronger statement in a way. But that's interesting to me. That's not a real statement. But the that doesn't mean individual reason doesn't happen or is not real or is not important. But I'm saying it's always secondary to social reason. It is the epiphenomenon. And that's the argument in Enigma of Reason. They're saying exactly that. Individual reasoning is an epiphenomenon of social reasoning.
Yeah, and Ben wants to focus on. He's more passionate about tools that allows an individual to reason. Although that's
Which,
interesting because if you're looking at, yeah, I guess every time I talk about that,
which has value.
right.
Teaching people to reason better totally has value, and that's why I don't want to hammer this point more than it's worth. I am trying to get him to see a bit more broadly because I think much more has value than this, but it's not that what he's doing. I don't disagree with what he's doing. It totally has value.
Although I guess if you point to a source, isn't that someone else's reason? I'm just trying to think of what would a tool look like where you're not. I mean, I could see not having like Reasonpedia. I'm not building interactivity. I mean, if you want to interact, you have to tweet your suggested changes. I'm not allowing people access to the system because I don't want to deal with identity and I don't want to deal with, different types of attacks and symbol attacks and stuff like that. Just not to that point yet. So
yeah. I
want
was
to
reading
experiment without that complexity.
You were there Monday when we were discussing Mastodon?
Yeah.
Did you follow the link I posted about all the legal requirements of running a Mastodon instance in terms of checking CSAM, checking hate speech, checking this, checking that, moderation policy? The legal requirements are incredibly complex.
Well,
like
I mean, that's legal requirements for any sort of online tool, right? It's not Mastodon. It's any kind of social media.
Absolutely correct. But if you're
Right.
running a Mastodon instance, it means you're suddenly responsible. You're legally responsible for that stuff.
Oh, in some jurisdictions. And
in
whether
US,
it's enforceable.
In US?
I don't think. No, I don't think you're legally responsible for hate speech.
I sent a link about
level.
I sent a link about this. Let me find it again because it's really interesting.
I mean, I think still online systems are still considered. I can't remember what it is, but you're just the pipes. They haven't changed the law as far as I know that you're responsible for the content on the system itself.
Yeah, there's that rule, but there's actually so many exceptions now. Got it. A guide to potential liability pitfalls for people running a Mastodon instance.
Well, okay, yeah, there's
Copyright.
differences between liability instances and laws against. So, yeah, that's another reason why I'm not ready to open up Reasonpedia, put it into a system. People could submit things through Twitter, and I can choose to include them or not.
Yeah, you want to do the curating. I'm interested in the problem of crowdsourced and federated, so it's interesting.
Right. Yeah,
but
I mean, in some way, I'm experimenting that. I'm just putting a hard wall on it, but not the federating, right? Because I'm not tackling that. But the crowdsourcing, I'm just experimenting through a bigger, harder wall.
Hey, Jamie.
Then I'm simulating it through Twitter.
Yeah. How are you?
Jamie? You almost missed us. We were about to shut down because no one was here.
Oh, snap. Well, I'm here now. What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting for a quorum to discuss next CDL activities. It's been pretty quiet for a while.
Yeah. And this being Thanksgiving, all the US people are, although there aren't many people, US people. Me, Jamie. I mean, Tim
is American.
I don't know if he
celebrates.
I think
I'm pretty sure he does.
Who does?
Tim.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah. Do you have any
Your home?
topics that you wanted to go over, Jamie? Or
Well, I know Mark Antoine and I definitely have an outstanding conversation about
Yes.
AI mapping stuff. So no matter what, Mark Antoine, you and I can hang out. We can like kick off the recording and have that convo. So let's see. I mean, Bentley, have you been updated about what's happened most recently with the Society Library?
no, haven't been up to date on that. Is that
Okay.
something you want to be public or you want to be private for now?
Yeah, that's totally
We're recording.
fine. Yeah, we are recording. I mean, I guess it's fine. We actually haven't made the public announcement yet because I have to write a blog post.
So this
and all
is
that
a
kind of stuff.
CDL exclusive.
It is. It's a CDL exclusive, everyone. What was it? Like a few weeks ago, October 19th, two members of the Society Library were asked to speak at an Internet Archive event. It was called Inaugurating Democracy's Library. It's a big new initiative by the Internet Archive to essentially collect, curate, digitize, and make machine readable municipal, state, and federal government documents and research and publications in the United States and in Canada. And so I was asked to be the host because the Society Library has worked a lot with government documents and research. And then Sharon was asked to give a presentation because we know the pain points. We just told a story about how we were just trying to verify one fact and how we had to look through like 15 separate agencies worth of data in different archival systems and different websites. It's not like consolidated or centralized or easily searchable. So you just use a search engine to look to verify this fact. It would just give you endless amounts of social media posts and news articles that never link to any original source. So there's like the linked data problem, and how we eventually found like the totally obscure study that qualifies the claim. And so then after that event, Brewster, who's the founder of the Internet Archive, asked Sharon and I from the Society Library to join the Internet Archive for the next 4 months and develop a strategy for the United States Division of Democracy's Library. So we essentially got put in charge of this division for figuring out like what are all the use cases from different stakeholders. So like argument mappers and debate mappers, citizen assembly folks, smart city folks, government document librarians, like who are all interested in this kind of data? What are their pain points? What are their needs? And then what's the Venn diagram of all of that so that the Internet Archive can prioritize getting the data that people want, that's going to potentiate like super useful use cases and develop something that solves the pain points. So that's as much as I'll say on camera. There's a bunch of other good stuff to say off camera that's like inappropriate, but just like it's nice that the Internet Archive is super taking care of us. They're just a bunch of great folks. So it's a big deal for the Society Library.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to shut off the recording? And
Yeah, and I'll tell you the rest of good news.
so that'll tell the other people they need to come to the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
come to the meeting, guys. I got secrets.